I think it's enough to succeed if you're smart and a good leader and you surround yourself with
the right
people.
When you're a D2C founder, right, in most cases, you only went to direct to consumer because you couldn't get into retail in many cases, right? Or you didn't have the pathway, or you were just trying to find a path through least resistance. So that's where I continue to go, is like, is it disruption or is it innovation?
No, I would say operating's more important in the beginning because you have to get proof of concept and you have to get something to market. I feel like getting something to market and getting proof of it in market is the hardest thing to do.
If you are in a strictly commodity business, meaning you cannot change it, you better focus on operations more than anything else, because that's every penny counts at that point. But on the other hand, I could also counter argue there's been companies that started in a very commodity space, saw an opportunity because they had a visionary at the helm. Apple was all in to use them as on computers, and they positioned that it wasn't the computers that made Apple what made Apple, it was the iPhone. And to this day, that's the case. But I think if they didn't have the right visionary in place, regardless of how incredible your operation is, it would have not happened.
This is it. This is our final episode
This is it.
in Atlanta.
Final episode in Atlanta.
Are we having some tofu tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says yeah.
Yeah.
He's got it.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got massive, big, beautiful, they were mooing the other day.
Making him feel uncomfortable.
New York strips, and then filet mignons, and then I'm gonna do some asparagus, some bacon.
And he's gonna make some tofu.
Yep.
And force you to eat it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be really good.
last Atlanta, then
It's gonna be really good.
Where are we next?
Vegas. Yeah, Vegas.
Woo!
Houston, Atlanta, Vegas.
This is gonna be tough in Vegas, trying to keep our attention. At least my attention.
We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
You guys will shoot by yourselves.
Where's Jimmy?
I don't know.
Blackjack.
Blackjack.
We shouldn't have chosen Vegas.
We'll get a table and record at a table.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. But I don't think they'll let us.
You'd be surprised.
Nah, they won't.
For enough money, they'll let us do anything in
Yeah.
Vegas. This is true. Are you boys ready?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Let's shoot this one. This one's good. This is e-commerce founders, visionaries, or operators. In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop. Amir from the agency and Jimmy from SAS. John has an Android, but give him a pass, cause he's an operator building brands like a carpenter. And that's Brian, he is the marketer. Like I said, this the ASOM Pod, where we talk a lot. Ecom is the path that we walk a lot. From 4 point of views when we're talking shop.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the ASOM Pod, a show about perspective from the eyes of an agency, SaaS operator, and marketer, focused on the D2C, e-commerce, and retail space. All right, going around the room, quick introductions. John Roman, Android loving survival king. What's up? Are you a visionary or an operator?
Actually, a hybrid.
A hybrid, all right. We got, all right, Amir Grasidich, Prince of Bosnia.
You like that?
Mayor of Chicago. Yeah,
We don't have kings in America.
My neighbor drives a hybrid car.
Are you a Prius or a Tesla?
A Mercedes.
Oh, okay.
Hybrid isn't necessarily a car thing.
Brian McDonald, self-proclaimed funniest dude, still cracking up over here. Brian spilling drinks on the side.
That was John.
That was John.
That was John.
Absolutely, John.
Yeah.
We got an Airbnb fee. You're gonna have to pay
just
that
keep
for
it on.
that clear liquid that you spilled.
Just don't touch my drink.
All right. Guys, if you're listening to this pod and you want to hear unfiltered hot takes from the team here, please subscribe to our pod at asompod.com. It's a newsletter where we share hot takes. We share our latest podcast videos. And by the way, I think this is okay. Yeah, by the way, if you want to hang out with us in real life, we're available on a live event called Commerce Roundtable. I know we've been talking about it a lot, but it's Miami, April 25th.
It's this month?
In San Diego.
This month.
This month, yeah.
Yeah.
This month, it will be end of month. Tickets might be already sold out, so this might be all irrelevant, but we want to let you know about
Shoot me
it.
a DM.
Otherwise, San Diego. Or
Figure
shoot
it
John a DM, and he's going to try to sell you a mayor's ticket for a special discount.
Good deal.
What? I'm just saying. That's John, not me. I'm not the one selling tickets.
But I don't get a ticket. I have an all-access pass.
All access pass. Well, then he'll sell you an all access pass.
You can be. It's designated to me.
I don't know, man. I know the host.
I know the host, too.
He'll make things happen.
I had your back a few times. You can't have my back once.
Oh, hey, yes. Stop it, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Cut him
Today,
some slack.
you going to cut him some slack? No, yeah,
really.
beat him up more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Full throttle. Last
He can't
episode.
hear us anyways right now.
Not really.
We're whispering.
My hearing aids are on.
Oh.
Probably feedback
Yeah.
they're picking up from his hearing aids.
All right. Today we're talking or asking a critical question. Are e-commerce and D2C founders actually visionaries, or are they just great operators? Now, I know some create revolutionary products, and others are simply known to improve a known category and market it really well. Let's see where we each stand with this conversation. I think this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to have some questions. I'm going to give you guys a series of questions and different things, and I want to have some discussions around it, but I'm going to get right to it. Do you think that D2C founders are creative geniuses or marketing hacks who found a gap? And I know this is a weird way of saying it, but that's really what it becomes, right? Brian, I'm going to start. We're going to put John last on this one because I want to hear John last after you guys. So Brian, I'm going to kick it off with you. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think for sure, meaning a lot of direct-to-consumer and e-commerce founders now are seeing a financial opportunity in a given sector or channel space where they know that they can dive in and steal a piece of the pie. And I think when you start thinking about what new brands you're seeing come into play in the market today, a lot of them don't really have patented products. And I think, years back, they did in regards to they had a product that they developed and truly believed in, and then figured out a way in which to sell it at a high scale with high profits. Where I think today, a lot of founders will pick a channel or sector or product based on where they think that they can, steal a little piece of the pie. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think that's how most start up and attack today.
But now let me ask you a question, Brian. When I say visionaries, it doesn't always have to be a product visionary. It could just be a business visionary,
Yeah, very true.
So they could just have a vision of how they could infiltrate a market and dominate the market and become a leader, right?
Great point.
So does that change your answer at all?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Amir, you work with a ton of people, right? Obviously, a ton of founders. Have you worked with visionary founders who turned out to be more considered practical operators once you've met them?
Yeah, it's a tough thing because we have worked with founders who have these very novel ideas, and on the surface they look great, but when we talk about positioning, whether it's market, price, they get it completely off. I feel like it is very, very hard to find what I would say a complete founder. And I think those that are complete are very rare. And those that are incomplete don't realize it.
That's super spicy, actually. So those who... There's something you just called a complete founder, which means that I'm assuming someone who can act on both sides?
Somebody who is well-rounded and acts more of a leader rather than an implementer. They realize hey, I get where I need to push this business, but I'm going to hire the right agency or the right marketing person to do what I don't specialize in. And sometimes that person could be it can be a marketing-led founder, an operator-led founder, but I think complete founders, they're complete because they know their weaknesses.
Interesting. All right, John, we're going to you last on purpose. So you run a brand, obviously. Do you see yourself as a visionary or more of a nuts and bolts operator?
So it's a good question. We teased it a little bit. You laughed at me earlier. I don't know if you remember.
I just don't like
he
it.
called you a Prius.
No, it's the term hybrid that really drives me up a wall.
So I'd say initially, with certainty, I was a pure operator. Like operator is my default settings, if you will. In the last 2 years, I've started to become a both.
A complete founder.
A both.
He, she.
You're a complete operator.
But it's because I think as a brand, that's where we need to be. That's what's going to take us to the next level, the next chapter, the continued success. So I've had to adapt and figure out how to be both.
Interesting.
I like that.
Now, before we go any further, I'd love to start off by discussing the term, right? When we mean visionary, and what do we mean by operator? Like when we talk about these terms, I think there's a lot of ways to look at it. I kind of challenged you already. When I think about visionary, let's start with it. It's sometimes a lot of people will say they invent new categories, they invent new products. Think of people like Apple under Steve Jobs, or it can be someone who rebrands an existing product and takes it into a brilliant space, right?
Yep.
What do you think about, Brian? What do you think from a marketer's view? Where does creativity and brand building fall in a visionary category?
Yeah. So like for me, whenever you say the word like visionary, I automatically think of like Walt Disney.
Interesting.
So like
real big.
Like Elon Musk is a visionary. Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos. We're talking about people that saw what their initial ideas could grow into and developed their own way and how they can, have the rest of the world see that.
Go. Yo, listen up, let me put you on game. OmniSend's got the tools and everything that they claim. Email, SMS, yeah, it's all in one. Ecom brands love it cause it gets work done. Yeah, 125K worldwide. Reviews so high, got them beaming with pride. And their stars are 4.8, no joke. Shopify bags, so you know it's dope. Automation so slick, like a self-driving whip. Bring them back with a click, never losing the grip. Easy migration, yeah, that's no stress. Support so strong, got me feeling real blessed. No sneaky fees, no surprise in sight. Ain't calling it alignment just to raise the price. So if growth is the goal and sales on your mind, OmniSend's got the tools, now go get what's mine. Hit OmniSend.com today and watch your brand take off, okay? Oh yeah, and tell them Awesome sent you.
And I think that there's different ways that you can be a visionary, like you were saying, where, hey, there's a gap in this space. I'm going to take 10 million a year off of this channel. But yeah, you saw the vision of making money, but I don't know if that necessarily makes you a true visionary. I think of the term visionary is a very special term in the sense of you really are taking something that doesn't exist and bringing it to market and then selling it and expanding it within that market.
So, question for you, and I'm going to use Steve Jobs as an example. And by the way, I don't know the answer to this question. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is Steve Jobs the visionary that put 1,000 songs into our pocket, or is the engineer that came up with that idea a visionary that Steve Jobs just?
But did the engineer come up with the idea, or did Steve? Well,
Jobs? I don't know. That's what. Yeah, assuming that Steve Jobs didn't.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, if he didn't come up with the idea, but. That was just one element.
No, yeah, I know, but you still have to be a visionary as a company operator to say, hey, I see your vision, I believe in it, and there are enough of visionaries to say, I know how we can scale this idea and how we can go to market with it. So like that's the thing I think there's a visionary from a product standpoint, something that revolutionizes the way we operate as humans. From an engineering standpoint, but I also feel from an operator to say, hey, that's a great idea. Now I got to put all my best talent around this to scale the hell out of it. Mm-hmm. Like Elon Musk, he didn't, necessarily come up with Tesla, but he was smarter than the original founder to say, hey, you guys got a freaking great idea here, and you're not capitalizing on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good way. John, any rebuttal to that?
Yeah, well, my whole view is a much simpler approach. So drawing a blank right now. The book Traction. What's that program? EOS.
Yes.
EOS. So EOS, I'm looking at the definitions by like EOS, right? So it's two different types of leaders, right? I'll oversimplify it here. Visionary is more idea, less execution. Operator, more just execution, take the ball, run, gonna figure it out, gonna get in. So that's how I categorize the two.
Yeah, and I agree. Operators excel in execution, logistics, and scaling ultimately, right? There are definitely something you see there. Now, what about agencies, Amer? When you see agencies, do you consider most agency people operators or dreamers or visionaries?
I think it's a mix. I met some really impressive people. I'll actually use Alan, my co-founder. He's an incredible visionary. I mean, it's the stuff that he brings forth, I think is sometimes years ahead of the market actually coming to it. One example, actually, I'll share what he started, and then I joined a company called Opt-in. And what Opt-in was basically what Apple does today with anonymizing email addresses. Mm-hmm. And he did way before his time.
Sure.
It was just like too early. So he sees these like big opportunities. And I met other founders that are other agency founders that are the same way. Then there's those that are, hey, I got a process, I know what I need to deliver, and it's repetitive emotions, nonstop. I myself, I think until about 2 years ago, I was strictly an operator. Alan was the visionary. After he kind of stepped away and things like that, it forced me to start to think 3 years ahead. where before I could lean on him. I mean, he's still part of it, but passively. But I think there's a lot of incredible people. I mean, we'll take Oshin from Recharge. Recharge used to be an agency. Oshin saw this vision to become a subscription company.
Yeah, Oshin's definitely a visionary.
Yeah, and he saw that before anyone else and provided a space that empowered hundreds of thousands of jobs in the subscription space.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, a lot of times when they say, depending on where the stage of the company is, a CEO often is living between day one, meaning like right now in the present, but also 2-3 years into the future. But that doesn't always mean that they're a visionary. It just means that they're thinking about the operations over the next couple of years. I think a visionary often is someone who's thinking bigger than is existing today and can think and paint a picture and start coming up with the idea, but they often can't carve the path or the road to get there, right? You need an operator to be able to take you there.
Yeah, 100%.
That's definitely something you think about. Do you think being a solid operator, John, is enough to succeed in direct to consumer, or do you think there needs to be a visionary part to that?
I think it's enough to succeed if you're smart and a good leader and you hire and surround yourself with
The right people.
But it also depends on the segment too, I think.
What do you mean?
I think a lot of segments are, if you operate better than other people, you can have more success because it comes about, like the product ends up being the same.
Sure.
Yeah, and then if you can create better operations. I mean, we talked about, FabFitFun and how they became a distribution house.
3PL,
Yeah, I mean, that is they offered what a lot of their competitors did, but then they found other opportunities from an operational standpoint to create a lot more revenue for themselves. So I think, is that being a visionary? I don't think so because everyone else is doing it, but they identified an operational advantage that they can have over other brands.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what John is rare. I think Adam tried to do what John's doing now before I joined and sort of be the visionary for OMAs. And also at the same time run the company from an operational and finance standpoint, and realize that he wasn't good at the visionary part of it. He was just really good at operating the part of the business. So like he lets me have full, not free reign, because then who knows what would happen, but a really long leash, because he, like John, I've been on calls with John where it's, you know when you're talking to an operator and you know when the operator is going to get your wild ideas and help you bring that to life.
Do you know what I find weird though? When you tell an operator, not all of them, but when I talk to them, they say like, "Oh, you're an operator, you're a visionary," they get offended. That's not a bad thing just to be an operator.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And it's like really weird. And then the other way around is like if you tell a visionary, "Oh, you don't know how to operate it," they get offended too.
But that makes sense because that actually makes like logical sense. I know it's not really left brain, right brain, but it's that theory, right? Where they're going to be more of a creative and not efficient like that, so they're going to be offended.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
It's like when I tell my wife, like, you're a great mom, but you're a bad driver.
What? What does that have to? What?
You tell your wife that? Mm-hmm. What'd she say?
She gets very mad.
Do you put one of those little tennis balls up in the garage so, like, she doesn't?
No, she's good about parking in the garage.
Okay.
Actually, operating the vehicle on the roads is the issue.
Oh, well, that's the more.
I don't want.
Yeah.
That's
We'll
the
get
more.
into
So
Jason.
very similar to what we're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
she loves
I-
one thing, but doesn't like when I say you're not a great driver.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to me.
Yes,
That
yes.
checks out.
And I really hope your insurance agent is not watching the show.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Shouts to the lizard.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to throw some well-known D2C
They can't
e-commerce
see it in
brands
color.
out there, and ones that we've talked about at some point or another. And I'd love to ask what you guys think if it was a visionary-driven company or it was just really operational. So I'm going to throw out some big ones here. Ready? Dollar Shave Club. Was that viral marketing, but was it visionary, or was it clever branding and basic product?
I think it's clever branding.
Clever
basic
branding,
product.
basic product.
Perfect timing.
So great operations.
Great timing.
And great timing.
Great timing.
Great
Yeah,
timing.
Okay.
I agree.
That's good. How about Glossier? Right? They built a brand community. They used influencers. of new category or just smart operational
I
scaling?
mean, they did the influencer seeding game before the influencer seeding game was a thing. So
They saw it.
So
I got to give Visionary credit there.
Hold on, what was that? Hermit the
We
Frog?
got to be why are we so short-sighted on influencers? Influencers have been around since marketing existed.
Yeah, in 2015, our initial launch was YouTube seeding, but they went at such a scale that was wild.
Yeah, because they obviously identified a channel and just scaled the hell out of it.
I'm
Everyone else
just
is
saying it's very they were
so
one of the
influence
first of
is
the
a
game.
channel is the way
yeah,
you're saying.
I mean, my thing is Nike went wild with Jordan in the 1980s. Was that different than Glossier? Why are we getting Glossier to credit not Nike?
That's a good valid point. I like it.
It's a fair point. So are you saying they're just a good operator?
Great
Because
operator.
I don't think
Yeah.
they're a good operator. They literally crash and burn their business.
Well, it depends. It was the same operator at the found.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
mean,
don't think
know.
so. The operators changed at
Yeah.
one point.
Nacelle is here with new AI tech. Read your customers' minds, isn't that the best? Turn browsers into buyers, collect your checks, showcase what they want through the product rec. Not your average, you may also like the full customer journey on your site. From click to checkout, getting it right. From click to checkout, day or night. Nacelle makes your store smarter than ever. They personalize lives, isn't that clever? Providing smart segmentation that sells better. Deliver perfect picks to shoppers forever. Yeah. Visit nacelle.com now.
All right. What about Warby Parker, right? They revolutionized eyewear online. Is that visionary disruption or methodical operation success?
Visionary.
You think visionary on
I think
that
it's visionary because they identified how to cut out a middleman, and they did it really, really well, and they even improved it over time.
So then, okay, so with that same theory of Warby Parker, let's take what you just said and apply that Direct Smile Club that we talked about on a previous episode. With that logic. So you're saying Smile Direct Club is a visionary too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, visionary in their
Okay.
segment,
Wow.
their vertical.
If you think that applies to them too, then
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Warby Parker was just eyewear. It was they created an app. They merged the intersection of technology. I don't think Smile Direct did that. I think they were just selling at home kits, weren't they?
Yeah, home kids, you mail it back.
Yeah, but there was technology to figure out what to send you,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like with Warby to get your eye
But
prescriptions.
to have the visionary to create that experience and not have to go to the dentist office, I think it's great.
Well, it's very similar. They're very similar.
Yeah, 100%.
What do you think, Brian?
I agree.
That they're visionary?
No, I don't think they're visionary.
Interesting.
Yeah, I agree with John here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it was they were solving a problem, but I don't know if it's truly visionary either. I'm not sure either. So, all right, Amir, from your vantage point, does the agency world hype up visionary founders? Do you think that the way that they look at it, like, is it to get attention, or are they just good at running ads and supply chains? Like, what do you think about that?
Pooh.
Like,
No,
you know what I mean? Like, as an agency, they're like, oh, we're visionary and stuff, but you're just running ads. How visionary can you be?
So are you talking about hyping up visionary that runs the agency?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. They hype him up.
Got it.
I mean, it's such a saturated. Now, I think there's a handful of few that I really like their perspective and approach that they do, like Taylor Holiday, and I really like Eric's approach to stuff, but 90% of agencies make me on.
That's true. I like that. That's good and honest. John, what about you? Like, you work with a lot of different founders and brand owners and stuff like that. Have you met founders that are just genuine visionaries that you've met along the way and along the journey?
It's in the D2C space. It's not as likely. I think. I think you do have a more operators, but I've absolutely ran across founders. My co-founder, ex-business partner from BattleBox, pure visionary.
What makes it stand out like that?
What makes him
stand out for you to call him a true visionary?
It's two parts. One, just it's that idea. It's always thinking of the idea and how to better the idea and what if about this. Like their brain is just running on a different game.
Yeah.
It's idea and product and what if we did this? What if we did that? It's it's like going out in the yard and trying to catch some butterflies. Like they're everywhere, right? From a if I'm a pure operator at the time, it just gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
I see it as like
hone this.
The
Stop.
head coach of a football team is the visionary. They see the game plan.
Yeah.
They sort of can see it ahead, and then they give the game plan to the quarterback, who's the operator, and he operates the entire team and either wins or loses based on the vision from the head coach.
That's a great analogy.
And do you think, this is a question for you as we talk about this, Brian, do you think that founder's persona, right, the founding persona is something that drives like brand aura? Is it like a labeling? Is it a marketing PR stunt? Like, do you think that it's more, does that make sense? Like, do you think marketers lean on the whole like founder and visionary persona because it makes it cooler?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they lean on it like scale, but I can see why they would, and I think some do, because it's cool to say you're like the people that you look up to, like the Elon Musks of the world and the Walt Disneys of the world. It definitely has that more like cool kid swag to it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because I feel like a lot of this leads to the one topic that I think that we've seen, founder brands, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of brands or founders, that's topic, like when we look back 10 years ago, okay, let's say, the term founders wasn't a thing. You were just a guy who started a business. I don't know what did you call that, Mayor? What would you have called this guys?
Yeah.
Like before there was called founders, what do we call them? Business owners? You were just like,
I mean, people use like words like principal.
yeah, but they never call them founders. Didn't become cool about a decade ago.
Yeah.
It wasn't cool. Just like SaaS wasn't really cool until
they were
like
just
15
owners.
years.
They were
Yeah,
just the owners.
The owners, yeah, that's right. I was the owner of the company.
Owner of Nike. You were the owner of Apple.
Yeah, you didn't found something, because founding an agency, and no offense to you, but founding an agency was not really founding an agency. You're just the owner operator of an agency, right?
Yeah.
Like founders have become this glorified terminology,
Yes.
and that's what I'm going after
Yes.
when I'm saying it
Yes.
to you. It sounds cooler. And again, it started in the tech space, right? The founder of tech space, right, was one thing, and I understand why a founder in tech space has that. But when you start bringing it into like direct to consumer or even an agency, does it really have the same meaning?
Yeah, you go down everyone's like LinkedIn profiles, and they're the founder of 400 things.
Yeah.
So I think the co-founder started with when, I guess, fundraising became mainstream. It was like to identify, I'm the person who's making...
Started it.
Yeah.
But aren't you the owner? Okay.
Yeah, you're an owner. But I think when it became like mainstream, it became kind of cool to say,
That's
to your
interesting.
point.
I never thought about it until this convo right now.
Well,
But you think about it, in tech, I understood why it's a founder, because often the founders aren't always the CEOs that happen in tech, right?
Yeah.
They started, like the founder of Google stepped aside and put that guy into place, and then eventually he came back in. He's not in charge still. I think they're just still part of the business today.
I think it's to a degree too, when I think about it, as just talking about it, I think it's an ego thing to figure out like who's the CEO, who's not. And the only way to keep it level is to say, well, you're the co-founder, I'm the co-founder, because we can't have technically co-CEOs because that's like a bad look.
But that happens though.
Yeah, it does, but never works out well.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, I got your mind moving a little bit. Think about it, right? Like the founder terminology was not relevant 12, 15, I don't know how long ago it was. But I know that even when I started SendLane and like the first time around, I didn't even know what that terminology was. I didn't know what I was. I was just the owner.
Just an owner.
I
Yeah.
was just an owner. I started this thing. I didn't call myself anything. I didn't realize it was something until someone wanted to put a brand label on it, and now it's become a label, and people have looked at it as almost a prestigious level until now it's become oversaturated, right?
Yeah.
But you know what, that's applicable too. Like I always found it weird and felt weird about it. Like when people have like, it's them and one more person and they're like, I'm a CEO of the company.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's the truth though, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's 100% true, right?
Yeah.
But what are they? Are they just the owner?
I mean, they're owner operator.
Okay.
That's what I think it is. I mean, when it was a lot smaller, I didn't like calling myself a CEO. It was just kind of weird.
Could you call yourself the president?
Not even, I was more like a principal or whatever my role was in the company. Like,
So did you say I owned the company? That's how you said it?
I'm the owner of the business. Yeah.
Owner of the business.
Yeah.
What does Adam say in his videos?
He's fourth generation owner operator, right?
Yeah.
That's true. He doesn't call himself a CEO.
No.
He doesn't call himself a president. I wonder what he signs off on
No,
things.
owner operator.
Does he write fourth generation
No,
owner operator?
technically he's president and CFO.
And CFO. Interesting.
Finance guy.
The grandma is probably CEO.
His mom.
His mom's the CEO. Interesting. Huh.
She's the president of the pet food, and then she's the CEO of Miller Foods, which has like a bunch of businesses under it.
Yeah. All right. I want to pivot this idea, right? So, a lot of people stumble, right? In D2C especially, they stumble across a success. It's true. A lot of them will kind of not know, or they'll have a problem, whatever it is. Are they visionaries or opportunists? How do you look at that when they stumble across something?
Opportunists.
Opportunists, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm a definition of that. I saw an opportunity, I took it, and it worked out well for me.
yeah, because innovation means that, like, if you wanted to be a visionary, right, you would have an idea. And I'm not saying like tumblers, because that's not, right? But you might have an idea of what's a good visionary product out there. Think of one. Ring. Perfect. I have an idea that I want to revolutionize the doorbell. I want to make it a video camera so I can click on it. It can connect to my phone. That's visionary, right?
Yeah.
Right? And that person, I can't remember that guy's name.
Jimmy, or Diamond, right?
Diamond, yeah. Something. Is it
Jamie
Jerry?
Dimon. Jamie Dimon.
Oh, yeah, Jamie Dimon. That's right.
Workspace 6, why struggle alone? Talk to other founders outside of your home. Communities thrive, so slide open your phone. Help you make strides, sit on top of the throne. Oh, whoa, solve your biggest challenges. Oh, whoa, help your checks and balances. Oh, whoa, this is how I salvage it. This a major key alert, just like DJ Khaled is. Apply for a buck, be a part of the workspace. 6:30, helping on your worst days. Surrounded by 9 figures, not in third place. Take a new direction like my home's on reverse plays. Yeah, join today, workspace6.io. Tell them Awesome sent you.
Jamie Dimon went off and started pitching it, and everyone thought he was kind of crazy. No one would adopt this. No one would do that.
He went
right?
on Shark Tank and didn't get a deal.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of them tend to be struggling when they're trying to improve a category, and people will kind of call them crazy a little bit, right? Yep. That's kind of a characteristic that comes with visionaries, because they're trying to change the norm. When you're a D2C founder, right, in most cases, you only went to direct to consumer because you couldn't get into retail in many cases, right? Or you didn't have the pathway, or you were just trying to find a path to least resistance. So that's where I continue to go, is like, is it disruption or is it innovation? You know what I mean?
Could be both.
It could be both.
Yeah.
Could be both, could be one or the other.
Do you think one's cooler than the other?
I think innovation is, how can I put it? I don't want to say smarter. You got to be smarter to innovate. I think you have to like be bigger visionary. But I think with disruption, you're creating a variant, a better variant of what currently exists. I feel like, disruption is evolution of what exists, where innovation is you're bringing something brand new to the market.
Interesting. What do you think, John? Do you think it's cooler to be one side, an operator versus a visionary? Because I feel like that's part of the reason why these topics exist, right? Like why people talk about it in one way or the other.
Well, I think a lot of it exists because it helps you try to come up with a roadmap or a plan on how to execute. Because if you're only a visionary, you're deficient in something, and if you're only an operator, you're deficient in something as well. I don't know. I think honestly, like personally, I'm more attracted to operator. I like operating. I like understanding the mission and just going and knocking it out and trying to figure it out. And Paul Wall, Kool-Aid Man through the wall.
Yeah.
What about you? Do you think one's cooler than the other?
Yeah, dude, I think visionaries are way cooler than operators. To me, operators are nerds, but cool nerds, right?
Thanks, bro.
No problem. No, I said that as sort of a joke, but
yeah.
No, I think visionaries are. I don't know. It's cool when you get to speak with someone like, for instance, Oma's. In 1996, when at the time they were a turkey farm, dog was sick, and she saw wolves and live animals in her backyard, wild animals, eating animal carcasses. And she's like, they're so healthy. My dog Harley's dying. We're already making chicken necks, chicken giblets, or turkey backs, all that stuff. I'm just gonna start feeding it to my dog. And then dog, boom, turned around. Other people in the area were like, my dog's sick too. Oh, here, feed this, feed this, feed this. And then it's like, the family's like, no one's making this. We were the first business to manufacture at a commercial scale raw pet food in the United States. So she saw it as not a disruption, but as an opportunity to take something that was existing but not yet implemented and created. And when you hear those stories, it makes it makes your appreciation for people that, you know, can see something and actually take it from paper to existence. You get a whole new sort of appreciation for someone that does something like that.
Yeah.
But I would argue though, she's a visionary, 100%. But if she didn't have the operational savvy, her vision would have died.
Correct.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so she's both.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, unfortunately, the glorification starts at the visionary level,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's where I say, but to your point right there, it would never happen unless you got an operator behind it being able to operate and get
Yeah.
that thing to life.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a balance. Someone's got to be able to see the future, and someone's got to be able to operate and get it to the future.
And I think people need to stop trying to be one or the other and kind of let action take its course. And you're going to know what you're comfortable. Like, don't try to be a visionary because it's cool, because a business without a right operator, it just falls into the ground. And if you're good in operation, embrace it, build on it. And I think something will happen like happened with John, where at one point you become a hybrid, like it happened with Oma. You become a hybrid, but it's a maturity process to get there.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, I want to force a little confrontation here because I had a little idea here, and I want to see how this thing works. And I don't know how it's going to work, honestly.
Okay.
But we've got two hypothetical stances. It's all about vision, or DTC is just about executing well. Okay, so those are the two vision sides. What side are you on, right? Matt, hold on, before you guys get into that, right? We're going to do a little debate format because I'm going to make a statement, and I want you guys to take one side or the other and kind of defend the one side or the other because I want to see how you guys think about it. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a
So
statement.
you tell us what are.
I'm gonna say this statement right now. Brian and John, vision is overrated. Execution is king. One of you guys take one side. What side would you take? One of you guys take it, and I'm sure one can defend.
I would take execution as king.
Okay, go ahead.
And I'll take vision as overrated.
Well, then you're saying it's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Go-
so you're
go-
saying vision is king.
Gotcha.
What
yeah.
do you think?
So I mean, dude, ideas are cheap, right? Like we have ideas all the time, but if you can't actually execute it, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but if you don't have the idea, then you can't even execute. What are you going to execute on air?
Yeah, but do you think ideas are like that special?
Yeah, I do, because without the idea, and you can hire anyone to execute an idea. Anyone. This guy. He'll execute the idea. It may not be great, but he can at least try to execute it.
So I think execution is the hard part, though.
You can't pay someone to be an inventor and a visionary.
But is it an inventor if you're just thinking of it in your head? So as Thomas Edison just didn't think about things in his head, he actually made them and did them and invented them, like with his hands and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I just think without an idea, you got nothing to work with.
Interesting.
All right,
I wanted to see how this would work out. It was just
interesting.
It was.
Do you really believe that or not? Not scene end.
Yeah, scene end.
Yeah.
Scene end.
Yeah, we're done. We're
No, I think you know what I think. It's a seesaw.
Balance.
Yeah. Not really. You don't really want to balance on a seesaw. You're not gonna have any fun. You ever balance on a seesaw?
It's not fun. But then with
not
the
fun.
other person you're balancing with like leaves, and then you just go slamming
See,
down.
that's what happens without having a visionary.
It hurts.
What you're operating with
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
You need an operator and visionary to keep the seesaw.
Yeah.
So the visionary is like, hey, got a new idea.
Whoa.
And then the operator's like,
Me, I'm gonna execute it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you go back and forth.
Yeah.
And then it's just constantly having fun.
Would you guys think that visionary is more important in the beginning and operational is more important later on?
Oof, no, I would say operating is more important in the beginning because you have to get something to get proof of concept, and you have to get something to market. I feel like getting something to market and getting proof of it and proof of it in market is the hardest thing to do.
So take like Casper as an example. Casper had this idea, visionary idea, change the U-bound mattresses.
Yeah.
Then everybody copied them. Then it became an operational race.
And that is execution alone won't cut it then.
You need a new vision. You need a visionary on board to say,
That
hey,
is a good example.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
a great example.
we gotta-
Execution
we gotta-
alone won't cut it. Vision becomes more relevant at that point.
Yeah.
So therefore, if vision is not underrated, it's underrated in this situation. You need good vision in order to do it. I do think at the end of the day, what happens is there is a good balance, and there's always a good balance in most brands. Now, look, it's pretty simple if you think about a lot of this stuff when you think visionary and operator. Look, it starts with what you're selling. If you're selling tumblers, I know you love tumblers. So like if you're selling tumblers, no offense to the people selling tumblers, but the reality is there's nothing special about it, right? Now, there might be a vision of how you might want to take those tumblers and be, I don't know, some unique principle of the tumblers. I don't know. I don't know if there's even a good example with tumblers.
like
but
breast milk tumblers.
yes, breast milk tumblers is Brian has said. If you think about something like that, that is visionary because you're trying to innovate beyond the norm, right? If you're just rebranding a white label, like we talked about the other day, if you take supplements and white label them, you're just a great operator or a great marketer, right? You guys would agree that way?
Yeah.
And I think that there's just too much people, as I think Amer said in the beginning, like founders want to be both or one or the other because they think it's cooler. I think you were saying that. Like
They feel like if they're not on the one or the other, it's like they think it's going to make them look like they're lesser.
Well, they have a deficiency.
Yeah.
That's a good way
It's
to
like
look
an
at
ego
it.
thing.
Okay.
Could be a vitamin D efficiency.
Yeah, that's one thing. So let me ask one last thing. I want to wrap this thing up. If I'm leaving one piece of advice for aspiring e-commerce founders, right? People are brand founders. People want to start a brand. You know, should they aim to be visionary or should they just focus on operational excellence, right? And I'll go first because I think the best founders have a little bit of touch of both, but the reality is that they start with visionary. They have to do the operational because they have to do it. But the reality is that the visionary has to live the longest between the two characteristics. That's my humble opinion behind it. Amara, what do you think when you give people advice?
I think if you are in a strictly commodity business, meaning you cannot change it, you better focus on operations more than anything else because that's every penny counts at that point. But on the other hand, I could also counter argue there's been companies that started in a very commodity space, saw an opportunity because they had a visionary at helm, and they were able to pivot. I mean, Apple was all in to use them as on computers, and they positioned that it wasn't the computers that made Apple what made Apple, it was the iPhone. And to this day, that's the case. But I think if they didn't have the right visionary in place, regardless of how incredible your operation is, it would have not happened. And that is why when Jobs got fired, he also got rehired because Apple didn't have direction, they didn't have a vision to go in, and he changed that.
It's a good one. Brian?
I'm just thinking about, he's got me thinking about the iPod Shuffle. That was my favorite. Remember the little iPod Shuffle?
Yeah, I had the after that I had the iPod Touch,
Yes, we did have the touch.
which was basically an iPhone
But
before.
before it was an
before
iPhone.
Did you have
iPhones-
the big thick one, and then they got the Nano?
They had
after
the
that?
Nano,
Yeah,
the really
Nano.
tiny one.
The Nano was
we
after
went through
that?
a lot of iterations before we got to the
Yeah.
iPhone, which did it all.
Talk about visionary right there.
What do you got? What advice can you give, John?
My advice is, who cares what to be aimed to be seen? It doesn't matter.
I like that.
Yeah.
Worry about the business. Who cares what people
Go build it,
see
right?
you as?
Yep.
Yeah, go build it and
Go build it, go
figure
sell it.
out.
Let-
Yeah,
do-
who
there-
cares?
There's the old lady that works for us, actually, Jan. She works for our wholesale department. And we're on this sales call. Poor Jan. She's like, got to be pushing 70. And everyone's like, I'm sharing ideas as a visionary. I'm a guy myself. And then, Adam and Martin team. And we get to her, and she goes, man, I'm just trying to sell some more dog food. That's it. Like, sometimes it's as simple as, like, who cares? Let's just go build cool stuff and sell it. And ultimately, like, we all got off the call, and Adam's like, I like that about Jan. Just get down to business. Let's just make
straight
good,
shooter.
Let's make good food, and let's sell it.
Yeah.
That's very, I think that a lot of
Keep it
people get
simple.
away from the simplicity of what we do. And
Yeah.
let's just
Labels,
do-
right?
do
I mean,
that.
the thought of the labels of the founder label and not even being in existence till just 10 years ago, if you think about it, that alone should tell you what this really means. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
You're an owner. Guess what an owner does? Anything and everything you got to do to make the business win.
Yep.
Be more like Jam.
Yeah,
Yep.
be more like Jan. With that, we will jump over to Amer with his book corner. You have a book called, which
The
one?
gold
of it?
standard.
What is it?
It's the
You didn't
gold
update
standard.
the sheet here, so I don't know what you are.
Here it is. Does it take back your power?
No, this one right here.
Okay,
It
the
should be
new
Take Back
gold
Your
standard. All right, Amer, tell us about it.
Deborah Lou.
So it's actually a very great transition with people doing their jobs and everything. And the new gold standard is by Joseph Michelli. Joseph Michelli actually wrote a lot of cool books about obviously Ritz-Carlton, which is the new gold standard, about Mercedes, Zappos, all of these incredible experiential companies that focus on their customers. Usually his books, and the one of the reason I brought it on, it's focused on customer experience, and that's what it's tied to. But underlying, I think, for customer experience and the way he writes it is culture. You can't have great customer experience if customer experience is not in the fabric of your culture. So the way he breaks it down is Ritz-Carlton created this, it's called the gold standard framework. And the framework had 4 pieces: credo, motto, service values, and employee promise. The credo was basically, how do we create personalized experiences, memorable experiences for our guests? And I think this is even applicable to every D2C company that cares about brand. The other one is motto, which is incredible. And their whole thing was, we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And what that puts them to a point is, the people that you're serving are no greater and no lesser than you, so treat them the way you want to be treated. And the cool story that I read about it, if somebody comes, and let's say Brian works for Ritz-Carlton. Actually, you work for Ritz-Carlton, so we'll use John. If John is at Ritz-Carlton and Brian comes up to him and starts to disparage John.
Hey, John, you suck. Like that?
Yes. What the Ritz-Carlton staff in their fabric is coached to do is say, hey, he's a gentleman. If you want to be at Ritz-Carlton, you need to act like a gentleman. Are you going to act like a gentleman? If your answer is no, we'll take you to Four Seasons and you can act like a savage, and we'll pay for it. Wow. But you will not act that way.
Is that true?
Extreme example, but
Okay.
yes.
Yeah,
and
there's like documented things of Ritz-Carlton doing. They will pay for your Four Seasons stay, but if you're not a gentleman and not a lady, and you don't treat our employees like ladies and gentlemen, you don't have space.
You know, when I was in the car world, one of the band, well, what's the word tracks that we used to use was, if someone was rude to you and they were like mean about it, and you're like, sir, have I been rude to you? And they go, no. Then why are you being rude to me? And it would really like disarm
throws people off.
People would be like, you know what I mean? So good point, though. I like it.
The other thing is like service value. So the whole point of Ritz-Carlton is to create memorable experiences that people are going to remember forever. And so when you have that interaction, kind of the way we talk about first sale in D2C, you better make that experience so tremendous that they don't want to look at any other brand except yours moving forward. And they did that really well. And there's 2 examples here. So every employee has a $2,000 per day discretionary budget they can use for whatever reason they have. Yeah. One of the great examples they share is Yoshi the giraffe. Yoshi was a giraffe that a kid had at Ritz-Carlton, and they left the resort, and the kid left the giraffe behind. So they called the Ritz-Carlton, the kid was crying, and the Ritz-Carlton said, let us look for it and see if we can find it. An hour later, they called back the family, say, don't worry about Yoshi. He just decided he wanted an extra long vacation. Why don't you guys do whatever you guys wanted to, and when you guys come back, we'll have him ready for you. What the employees at Ritz-Carlton did, they took Yoshi around the resort and took pictures of him doing activities, created a picture book for the child to show them how well they took care of the giraffe, put it in a goodie box. So when the kid came back, they not only gave him the goodies and everything, they had the giraffe ready, but they also positioned it like, look, he was in a golf cart, he was sunbathing, and they were like, oh, don't worry, you didn't leave him behind. He just needed an extra day to relax.
They took a opportunity and made it a memorable experience.
100%. Yep. Yeah. And there's like countless of that. And then the last one is that they have an employee promise where positive work environment leads to exceptional guest experiences. So they believe if they treat their employees the way they want their guests to be treated, the employees will do that naturally, and they reinforce that.
Yeah. Love it, dude.
So here's a good example. It's not a good example. So I worked at the Ritz for 4.5 years. One of my favorite moments was there was an outside restaurant called Gabby's by the Lake.
What did you do there? Set the stage.
So I did a bunch. So started off as a valet, then I was a bellman, and then I was a server at a restaurant, then I was a bartender, and then I was the front desk, and then I was the front desk supervisor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
4.5 years. It was part of like a track program, move around. So when you graduate, you're ready to like jump into management. Yep. So this is when I'm waiting tables, and I go to the table, bring this wonderful, super pleasant, middle-aged lady a Cobb salad. Put the Cobb salad down, and she says, "Shouldn't like everything on top like be diced?" I was like, "Well, I mean, some Cobb salads are diced." She's like, "Oh, well, want a diced Cobb salad. I was like, well, this is our Cobb salad. She's like, well, this is the Ritz-Carlton, so why don't you? And then, so we were down on this hill, like maybe far away from the hotel, far away, not a easy walk. So why don't you go up? This is the Ritz-Carlton. Why don't you go up the hill and like give me a Cobb salad the way I want it? Fucking did it. It sucked. It's not a good story. Just sharing it. One of the cool things.
Like, I used my teeth and I cut them in half right there in front of her.
Well, I mean, I hope she enjoyed that diced egg. But
Okay.
just kidding. But one of the really cool things though was that $2,000, and like we talked about it regularly, and like it was a thing like, oh, like someone's checking in and it's their anniversary, and for what, this is like a super simple one, but like we didn't have it. One, it goes in the system and we never make that mistake again, right? It's always on their permanent record, if you will, where we know that this day is their anniversary.
Sure.
But I'm going to send chocolate, strawberries, and some champagne, and I'll spend $300-400, and no one even bats an eye, because the experience you're making and what that LTV is going to do to them is unreal.
I want to add like two things that I think operators can take also. And was it Jane that you were talking about?
Jane, yeah.
Yeah. So one interesting thing to do, and it struck a chord with me, and it kind of was a perfect segue, is Ritz-Carlton said they don't hire, they select people. So they're not going to put applications out there. They look for people who strive and love the service industry. So when they go through that process, it's not just about let's hire to fill a position. Let's go find and select the right person that's going to reflect and embody our values. Yeah. And the other interesting thing is, and this is applicable to everyone, they have a process that's called define and redefine. So define the expectations for everyone at the company, but then continuously redefine by looking at other verticals and spaces and what they do well with their customers and bring it to our company. And that's their whole thing. They never say, hey, this is our way and we're going to always stick to it. They say, this is our way today, but we're going to look everywhere else how to make it better tomorrow.
Mayor, book score.
8.5 out of 10.
Whoa, so you gave that a 9. This
Yeah.
is an 8.5.
The reason I didn't like it, I felt it was a little bit bloated by experts from Ritz-Carlton employees and everything like that. I like that one because it had like real live examples to like Greg Popovich. Like,
Okay.
it's more tied to me. Great book. I really loved it. It was a little bit too dense for me the way it was written.
But that's what this guy does. Like,
Yeah, he
the
does.
Starbucks one, like he does brands and like digs in deep.
Yeah. It was just it was very dense for me. Compared that one was a much easier and enjoyable read.
This one? How was this one?
No.
No, it was the Culture Code.
What is that book then?
That
Take
was
Your
from
Power
the.
Back by 10 Rules for Women's Work.
You know what?
Did you bring that book?
These were books that were already here. These are,
I was like, wait, did
No.
you bring that book?
So what Brian wanted to do, he wants to read that one for the next episode, and he'll give a summary on it. Right, Brian?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll do that.
So we're going to go ahead and start reading it right now?
I'll throw it in AI.
All right, dudes. That's a wrap, guys.
Not enough
Episode
pictures.
41, e-commerce founders, visionaries, or operators. I think one thing we learned at the end of this whole thing was very simple. Just run your business and build it the way you need to. If you enjoyed this pod, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. Let us know what you think. And ultimately, find us on social, TikTok, X, IG, LinkedIn, YouTube. Just type in ASOM Pod to find us there. And don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite streaming platform. Remember, we're Video First Pod. This is our last pod that we're doing in Hotlanta, Georgia. And next time you see us, we'll be in Las Vegas. And we fly these locations always in person. We've got some fun episodes coming up that are very unique that I think will be either really great hits or really bad flops. But we'll find out because that's what we do. We test these things into the market. And we do these because we want the highest quality experience. So check us out on YouTube. That's where you'll find us the best. Don't forget to subscribe to asompod.com to be alerted. Join our newsletter, be alerted about the next pods, yada, yada, yada. With that, the next episode is episode 42, and the title of that one is called Scale versus Profitability. When growth becomes unstable, we're going to talk about all things growth and sustainability and profit and all that fun stuff. With that being said, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next pod.
We're going to end on a dad joke.
Okay.
What do you call a well-balanced horse?
I don't know.
Stable.
All right, guys.
Jeez, all right. And
Funny.
Welcome to the ASOM Pod, where we talked a lot. Ecom was the path that we walked a lot. But now the question is, will you subscribe or not?